All right, let's just dive right in. We're going to deconstruct one of the most stark and, frankly, one of the most powerful verses in the entire book of Revelation. Now, our goal here isn't to shock you, but to really understand, what were these ancient words actually trying to say? We're going to break it down piece by piece. So, right out of the gate, the verse hits you with this incredibly intense imagery. It's disturbing, and that's by design. This is language meant to grab your attention, and for centuries, it absolutely has. It's talking about a final, unending consequence. So, okay, beyond that initial gut reaction, what is actually being said here? To really get the full weight of these words, we can't just stick with English translation. We've got to go back to the source, back to the original Greek it was all written in. To really get this, we have to put on our detective hats. We're going to break this verse down into its original coiny Greek parts, just to see what each piece of this puzzle really means. Okay, first up is the word for torment. In Greek, it's basanismos. And this is key. This isn't just about, feeling some pain. The sources define it as active suffering, maybe even torture. The main idea is that this is an ongoing, conscious experience. It's not just ceasing to exist. It's an active, aware condition. Next, we've got the time frame. The phrase is eis ionas ionen, which literally means unto the ages of the ages. Now, this is a classic Greek idiom. It's like a saying forever and a day, but way more intense. It's a really emphatic way to say something is permanent, unending, truly limitless. And finally, there's a word that's actually defined by its absence here. That word is anapasis. It means rest, a break, relief from all the hard work. And the text couldn't be clearer. For the people this warning is about, that state of rest, it's completely out of reach. Okay, so now that we've got the key turns down, the what of the situation, let's shift to the who and the why. The verse is super specific about who this warning is for and what they did to end up here. This really lays it all out, doesn't it? It's pure cause and effect. On one side, you have the exact actions, worshiping the beast and its image, getting its mark. And on the other side, the direct consequences we just defined, that endless state of torment with absolutely no rest. The relationship is shown as direct, one-to-one, and completely unavoidable. So here's the crucial point, at least according to the theological take in our sources. This is all about choice. These actions aren't described as some kind of mistake or an oops. They're framed as a willful rebellion, a conscious decision to say, I'm with this other system, and in doing that, to publicly reject the offer of grace. This verse, it doesn't just exist on its own in a bubble. The sources show it's actually one piece of a much bigger theological argument about judgment and consequences, and it's supported by ideas from all over the Bible. Take this idea of no rest, for example. That's not a new concept here. It actually echoes themes from way earlier. This quote from Isaiah in the Old Testament directly links a life of wickedness with a state of constant unrest. Sounds a lot like the no rest in Revelation, right? Then you have 2 Thessalonians in the New Testament, which builds on this. It defines the consequence as an everlasting destruction that is specifically about being separated from the presence of the Lord. So now the idea of separation becomes a really key part of the punishment. And the book of Hebrews adds another critical piece to this framework. It brings in the idea of atonement, of making things right. The argument here is that the shedding of blood, which refers to the sacrifice of Christ, is the only path to remission, to forgiveness. So, the text argues, if that path is rejected, there's no other alternative left. There's only the consequence. So, when you put it all together, the theological picture our sources present really comes into focus around these four main ideas: an eternal separation from God's presence, a complete lack of peace, a willful turning away from grace, and an unending consequence for making that choice. So let's circle back to that really powerful idea at the center of all of this. That stark contrast, that complete opposition between a state of unending torment and a state of total rest. This captures that contrast so well. On the one hand, you have that incredible image from Isaiah of a troubled sea, just constantly churning, unable to be still. And on the other hand, you have the quiet, calm definition of anapausis, rest, relief, a full stop. The theological point here is that these are two final destinations, and you can't be in both. So, at the end of the day, the big takeaway from this analysis is that the consequence described here is one of total negation.
In this framework, it's not just about the presence of suffering, it's about the complete and final absence of everything that makes up life and peace. No light, no rest, no connection, just nothing.
And that really leaves us with one last question to think about. If the text presents this irreversible outcome as the total absence of rest, it kind of forces us to flip that around and ask the opposite question, doesn't it? Within this worldview, what is the ultimate nature, the ultimate meaning of real peace?